Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a massive, and I mean massive, October book haul for you. So stay tuned. So I somehow managed to accumulate 59 books in October. And that doesn't even include, I got a couple of e-arcs as well, but I'm not including that in this. I think if I included that, I'd have 64, I think. Insane. So I kind of have these split up into, these are books that I got, let me see. Okay, some of these are books I bought from McKay's. Others are books that I got as like a giveaway or sent to me by the author. Also books that I got in subscription boxes. And then over here are ones that I got from various places online. I think they're all online. There may be some like from a store. Okay, so my break took a little bit because I also had to get dinner prepared and it's in the oven now. But I have about 20 minutes until I need to stop again to get the food out. And now I'm surrounded by cats. I have Katniss here. Hi, baby. And I have my big boy, Tigger. As soon as I sat down here, they swarmed me. Okay, so these are books that, they're both up against the tripod right now. Hold on. Y'all need to move. Okay, let's try that again. These are all books that I bought from different online retailers. I think they're all online. Anyway, the first two I have here are New World Ashes and New World Inferno by Jennifer Wilson. I recently read New World Rising and really enjoyed it, so I wanted to get the rest of the series. New World Rising is like if you take Legend by Marie Lu and The Giver by Lois Lowry and kind of mesh them together, you're gonna get New World Rising. So the world has been kind of destroyed by wars and all of that. And those that survived, they created this sanctuary, this peaceful place, very much like the place in The Giver. And then certain people couldn't really, they didn't agree with the sanctuary. They would fight or whatever, and some left the sanctuary and others were kicked out. And I'm trying to remember the name of the place on the outside, but I can't remember. On the outside, there are these tribes, and they all do kind of different things, but they're like gangs together. And you have the Ravengers. They're like really brutal and take what they want and hurt whoever they want, and even if it's just for fun. And then you have like the Scavengers, who they don't really mess with anybody. They just come behind other tribes like the Ravengers and steal from the dead, things like that. And our main character, she was born on the inside, but her family escaped the sanctuary. They left the sanctuary willingly. Actually, they led several people out, but she doesn't really remember this. She was a child. She doesn't know why they left. And when she's like 6 years old, she witnesses her parents murdered by some Ravengers, and she's kind of forced to survive on her own. And she's really good at surviving on her own until one day she sees this little girl about 8 years old getting cornered by a bunch of Ravengers, and for some reason she decides to risk her own life and her own safety and save this little girl. And that leads her to this whole unknown group of people, and there are a group of people trying to get into the sanctuary. And it's really, really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to continuing with this series. The way it left off was really exciting. Okay, next up we have, oh, this was something I pre-ordered. This is The Trials of Apollo, Book 5, The Tower of Nero. I don't know anything about this series. I've been reading through, as Buddy reads, all of the Rick Riordan books, and we've just gone through the first 4 books in the Percy Jackson series, and I pre-ordered this as we started doing all that because we're going to continue reading these books. And like this month we're reading The Last Olympian. But let me pull up on Goodreads what this series is about. All I know is its mythology. Okay, this is like an overall little summary, what it says for the Trials of Apollo series. A 5-book quest adventure centered on Apollo, in which the god is sentenced by Zeus to life on Earth as a mortal. Okay, cool. I'm really enjoying these Rick Riordan books a lot, and so I was happy to pre-order this, and I got a really good deal on it too. I can't remember what exactly I got it for, but it wasn't bad. Okay, I also ordered some, and they're mixed in here, some middle grade books. I got Castle Hangnail by Ursula Vernon, and I thought this is really cute. It says, "A wicked witch needed." When Molly shows up at Castle Hangnail's doorstep to fill a vacancy for a wicked witch, the minions are understandably doubtful. After all, she's just 12 years old, quite polite, and rather unintimidating. But the castle desperately needs a master, or else the Board of Magic will decommission it, leaving all the minions without the home they love, and forcing Molly to go back home to the room she shares with her pink and sparkles loving good twin sister. So when Molly assures the minions she is quite wicked indeed, everyone remains hopeful. It turns out, though, that Molly has quite a few secrets, including the biggest one of all. She isn't who she says she is. And I just think this sounds so cute. Next up we have Flying Lessons and Other Stories, with a foreword by Christopher Myers. And this has several different authors. We have Kamwe Alexander, Kelly J. Baptist, Somen Chainani, Matt De La Pena, Tim Federell, Grace Lynn, Meg Medina, Walter Dean Myers, Tim Tingle, and Jacqueline Woodson. This says, whether it is basketball dreams, family fiascos, first crushes, or new neighborhoods, these stories, written by 10 award-winning and best-selling diverse authors, celebrate the uniqueness in us all. Then we have Tangled in Time, The Portal by Catherine Lasky. And this very much gave me like Rapunzel vibes or something. Maybe it's just the Tangled part. I think it is a fairy tale retelling though. Maybe it's Sleeping Beauty. It says, life used to be great for Rose. She loved her friends, got along well with her mom. Her dad was out of the picture, and was starting to rack up lots of hits on her fashion blog. But then her mother dies in a car crash, and Rose is sent away to live with a grandmother she hardly knows. The only place Rose can take refuge is in her grandmother's greenhouse. One night she finds herself transported to another time and place. Rose has traveled back in time to Hatfield House, the home of a banished princess, Elizabeth, the daughter of King Henry VIII. Then she discovers something truly amazing, a beautiful locket with 2 mysterious images inside, both clues to her own past. Could the greenhouse portal offer answers to the mysteries of her family and their secrets? Maybe it was just the title that made me think of Rapunzel. But it is blurbed by Gregory McGuire. My tongue is twisting. Who is the author of Wicked, and I really like that series. But I thought this looked really cool. Okay. Next we have The Synapse Sequence by Daniel Godfrey. And this is something that's like a little bit outside of what I would normally kind of read. but I thought it sounded really interesting, so I thought I'd check it out. In a future London, humans are watched over by AIs and served by bots. But now that justice and jobs are meted out by algorithm, inequality blooms and protest is brutally silenced. Anne Glover may be the most hated woman in the troubled city, the media's scapegoat for an unpopular war. Now she hides from the public eye, investigating neglected cases by using the mind-invading technology of the synapse sequencer to enter witnesses' memories. When a PI brings her a new high-stakes case, Anna sees a chance for atonement, but soon she is drawn to a plot that threatens to upend her hard-won anonymity and put everyone in danger, even those she hopes to save. And it's like here's a blurb. It says, a fast-paced, near-future technological thriller that will keep you guessing. And I thought it was interesting. Okay, it's much later and we've had our dinner now. The next book I have here is The Chaos of Stars by Kirsten White. And I've read other books by her, and when I saw this, I was like, I don't have that one, so I need that one. This says, Isidora's family is seriously screwed up. Of course, when you're the human daughter of Egyptian gods, that comes with the territory. Isidora's divine relatives can barely remember her name. After all, they're immortal, and she isn't. Isidora is sick of living a life where she's only worthy of a passing glance. And when she's offered the chance to move thousands of miles away, she jumps on it. But as much as Isidora tries to keep her new world and old world apart, she quickly realizes there's no such thing as a clean break when it comes to family. And this very much gives me like Percy Jackson kind of vibes, but more YA, which is pretty cool. Okay, next up we have The Cat Who Came In Off the Roof by Annie M.G. Schmidt. And this is way thinner than I thought it was going to be. It's actually only 149 pages. But this is about a shy reporter named Mr. Tibble, who's close to losing his job because, well, all he ever writes about is cats. He's a journalist, and all he ever writes about is cats. And then he meets this neighbor lady who has all these gossipy tidbits to share with him, but what's most newsworthy about it is who she says she gets these gossipy tidbits from, and it's apparently from a cat that comes in from the roof. And it sounded really cute, and like I said, it is short, which is lovely. Then we have Phoenix by Elizabeth Richards. This is the sequel to Black City, which I have somewhere up there. So I'm going to just pull it up on Goodreads here because I don't want to find it on my shelf. Okay, so Black City says, a dark and tender post-apocalyptic love story set in the aftermath of a bloody war. In a city where humans and darklings are now separated by a high wall and tensions between the two races still simmer after a terrible war, 16-year-old Ash Fisher, a half-blood darkling, and Natalie Buchanan, a human and the daughter of the emissary, meet and do the unthinkable. They fall in love. Bonded by a mysterious connection that causes Ash's long-dormant heart to beat, Ash and Natalie first deny and then struggle to fight their forbidden feelings for each other. Knowing if they're caught, they'll be executed, but their feelings are too strong. When Ash and Natalie then find themselves at the center of a deadly conspiracy that threatens to pull the humans and darklings back into war, they must make hard choices that could result in both their deaths. And I thought that sounded really interesting, and then I came across the sequel, so I thought I'd go ahead and grab it. Though the first book I actually have in hardcover and this one's paperback, but that's okay. Next up we have Across the Universe by Beth Revis. And I have some other books by her. I have Give the Dark My Love as well, but I haven't actually read that one yet. This one is thicker than I expected. Oh wow. There's a section in the back where she sends a special thanks to early Facebook fans of the Across the Universe trilogy, and there's like page after page after page of names. That's pretty cool though. Okay, so the actual book is 417 pages. This says, what does it take to survive aboard a spaceship fueled by lies? Amy is a cryogenically frozen passenger aboard the spaceship Godspeed. She has left her boyfriend, friends, and planet behind to join her parents as a member of Project Ark ship. Amy and her parents believe they will wake on a new planet, Centauri Earth, 300 years in the future. But 50 years before Godspeed's scheduled landing, Cryo Chamber 42 is mysteriously unplugged and Amy is violently woken from her frozen slumber. Someone tried to murder her. Now Amy is caught inside an enclosed world where nothing makes sense. Godspeed's 2,312 passengers have forfeited all control to Eldest, a tyrannical and frightening leader. And Elder, Eldest's rebellious teenage heir, is both fascinated with Amy and eager to discover whether he has what it takes to lead. Amy desperately wants to trust Elder, but should she put her faith in a boy who has never seen life outside the ship's cold metal walls? All Amy knows is that she and Elder must race to unlock Godspeed's hidden secrets before whoever woke her tries to kill again. Okay, next up we have Binti by Nindi Okorafor. I'm sure I said that wrong, and if so, I'm sorry. Also, this thing is tiny. Like, I knew it was a short book, but I did not realize it was that tiny. And let's see. I think it's less than 100 pages even. No, it's 101 pages. This will be perfect for a readathon. This says, African Girl Leaves Home. The Hugo and Nebula award-winning series begins here. Her name is Binti, and she is the first of the Himba people ever to be offered a place at Uzma University, the finest institution of higher learning in the galaxy. But to accept the offer will mean giving up her place in her family to travel between the stars among strangers who do not share her ways or respect her customs. Knowledge comes at a cost, one that Binti is willing to pay, but her journey will not be easy. The world she seeks to enter has long warred with the Meduse, an alien race that has become the stuff of nightmares. Uzma University has wronged the Meduse, and Binti's stellar travel will bring her within their deadly reach. If Binti hopes to survive the legacy of a war not of her making, she will need both the gifts of her people and the wisdom enshrined within the university itself. But first, she has to make it there alive. And I've heard really, really good things about this book, and I really considered, this is the first book in a series, and I really considered getting more of the books, but I wanted to see for myself what I thought of the first one before getting others. But I love that it is a short book because that's really helpful when it comes to readathons. Okay, next up we have Friend Request by Laura Marshall. And this says, 1989. When Louise first notices the new girl, who is mysteriously transferred late into their senior year, Maria seems to be everything Louise's other friends aren't. Authentic, funny, brash. Within just a few days, Maria and Louise are on their way to becoming fast friends. 2016. Louise receives a heart-stopping email. Maria Weston wants to be friends on Facebook. Long buried memories quickly rise to the surface. Those first days of their budding friendship, cruel decisions made and dark secrets kept. The night that would change all their lives forever. Louise has always known that if the truth ever came out, she could stand to lose everything. Her job, her son, her freedom. Maria's sudden reappearance threatens it all and forces Louise to reconnect with everyone with whom she severed ties in order to escape the past. But as she tries to piece together exactly what happened that night, Louise discovers there's more to the story than she ever knew. To keep her secret, Louise must first uncover the whole truth, before what's known to Maria, or whoever is pretending to be her, is known to all. With her mesmerizing debut, Laura Marshall offers a timely and essential story of how who we were shapes who we become, the hidden cost of our increasingly connected world, and the dangerous shape that revenge can take in our modern era. thought that sounded really interesting. Okay, this next book is one that I think I'd heard about this book, and I was expecting this one to be a small book, so I think I got books confused in my head, because this is not a small book by any means. Okay. We got Stephen King, The Institute. Now, I do know I've heard of this, and I've heard good things about it, but I do think that I was confusing this with another book that was a short book, because this thing is not short. It is 557 pages long. Okay. This says, in the middle of the night in a house on a quiet street in suburban Minneapolis, intruders silently murder Luke Ellis's parents and load him into a black SUV. The operation takes less than 2 minutes. Luke will wake up at the Institute in a room that looks just like his own, except there's no window. And outside his door are other doors, behind which are other kids with special talents, telekinesis and telepathy, who got to this place the same way Luke did. Kalisha, Nick, George, Iris, and the youngest of them, 10-year-old Avery Dixon. They are all in front half. Others, Luke learns, graduate to back half, like the Roach Motel, Kalisha says. Kids check in, but they don't check out. In this most sinister of institutions, the director, Miss Sigsbee, and her staff are ruthlessly dedicated to extracting from these children the force of their extra-normal gifts. There are no scruples here. If you go along, you get tokens for the vending machines. If you don't, punishment is brutal. As each new victim disappears to back half, Luke becomes more and more desperate to get out and get help, but no one has ever escaped from the Institute. As psychically terrifying as Firestarter, and with the spectacular kid power of it, The Institute is Stephen King's gut-wrenchingly dramatic story of good versus evil in a world where the good guys don't always win. I mean, it does sound super interesting, but dang, it's a big book. I was not expecting that. Okay, next up we have another book that was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Girl Gone Viral by Arvind Amati. And it's pretty thick. Looks like it is 402 pages. Opal will stop at nothing to uncover the mystery behind her father's disappearance. But when her VR world becomes her viral reality, decoding the truth is harder than she bargained for. For 17-year-old Opal Hopper, code is magic. She builds entire worlds from scratch. Mars craters, shimmering lakes, any virtual experience her heart desires. But she can't code her dad back into her life. When he disappeared after her 10th birthday, leaving only a cryptic note, Opal tried desperately to find him. And when he never turned up, Opal enrolled at a boarding school for technical prodigies and tried to forget. Until now. Because Wave, the world's biggest virtual reality platform, has announced a contest where the winner gets to meet its billionaire founder. The same billionaire who worked closely with Opal's dad. The one she always believed might know where he went. The one who maybe even murdered him. What begins as a small data hack to win the contest spirals out of control when Opal goes viral, digging her deeper into a hole of lies, hacks, and manipulation. How far will Opal go for the answers? Or is it the attention she wanted for years? And I think this also sounds amazing. Also, now Sasha is here. All the kitties gonna make an appearance. Well, maybe. I don't know where Missy's at. Okay, next up we have Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers. And this one is shorter than I expected. Like, I thought it was going to be, I don't know, like this. But it's only 224 pages. So, Courtney Summers, if you don't know, is the author of Sadie. I have no idea what this one's about, but I really enjoyed Sadie, so I thought I would enjoy this as well. Don't know what my cats are doing in the other room. Knocking stuff over. Anyway, this says, the high price of perfection is one perfect Parker Fadley always believed she was willing to pay until the devastating events at a party during junior year fractured the lives of her family and friends. A terrible thing has happened and only Parker knows it's her fault. If being a perfect daughter, student, friend, and girlfriend couldn't keep her from making an unforgivable mistake, Parker hopes becoming a perfect mess will at least keep her loved ones from discovering the truth. Until the arrival of a curious new student and the unexpected return of an old enemy threaten her tenuous grip on control. Parker will do anything to keep her secret from surfacing, but this time the cost might be more than she can afford. Alright, next up we have Daisy Jones and the Sixth by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've heard everybody talk about this book, and I almost bought it at McKay's, but then I found it cheaper online, so I decided to get that. But this is like the story of a band, and I guess how they fell apart or something like that. And from what I gather, it's very reminiscent of like Fleetwood Mac and their album Rumors. When The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was like a big hit with everybody, I'm like, I don't get it. It doesn't sound that interesting to me. And then I read it and it was a 5-star book. And I'm like, okay, it was fabulous. Now I understand why everybody's talking about it. And then this book came out and I was like, I don't know. It doesn't really sound all that interesting to me. But then everybody raved about it and loved it. And so I'm like, you know what? I loved the other one. I might as well try this too. You never know. I actually think I may have more of a chance of liking this than I thought I was going to like the other, because I mean, it is music and I like music and learning about bands and things like that, so we'll see. And then I have a hilarious book, and if you saw my October 2020 wrap up, this was in there because I read it like the day it came in. Me and Marty both read it, and Xander read it. And that is If You Give a Pig the White House by Faye Canus, illustrated by Amy Zing, and this is a parody. There is a children's series, I believe. It's like If You Give a Pig, and there's like a bunch of different books, and they did this author did a parody on that series, but with Donald Trump, and it's freaking hilarious. And yeah, it's great. Next up we have Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, and this is another book that I've heard so many people rave about, and I mean, I think it sounds really interesting, and I've heard so many good reviews on Grady Hendrix's other books that I'm really interested to read some of her books, probably multiple books, because I'm also interested in like My Best Friend's an Exorcist. But yeah, this is like a haunted IKEA from what I gather, and it's also like done like an IKEA catalog, though there is story as well. But well, I don't know if this is any kind of spoiler or not, but there's like writing. The chapters are like the weird names with the furniture. But yeah, this is what the front looks like, and the back is like the same scene but spooky. That's this. I'm super excited to read that one. Next up we have The Marriage Pact by Michelle Richman. And this says, newlyweds Alice and Jake are a picture-perfect couple. Alice, once a singer in a well-known rock band, is now a successful lawyer. Jake is a partner in an up-and-coming psychology practice. Their life together holds endless possibilities. After receiving an enticing wedding gift from one of Alice's prominent clients, they decide to join an exclusive and mysterious group known only as the Pact. The goal of the Pact seems simple: to keep marriages happy and intact. And most of its rules make sense. Always answer the phone when your spouse calls, exchange thoughtful gifts monthly, plan a trip together once per quarter, never mention the Pact to anyone. Alice and Jake are initially seduced by the glamorous parties, the sense of community, their widening social circle of like-minded couples, and then one of them breaks the rules. The young lovers are about to discover that for adherence to the pact, membership, like marriage, is for life, and the pack will go to any lengths to enforce that rule. For Jake and Alice, the marriage of their dreams is about to become their worst nightmare. In this relentlessly paced novel of psychological suspense, New York Times bestselling author Michelle Richmond crafts an intense and shocking tale that asks, how far would you go to protect your marriage? And I thought this sounded really, really fun. Like, this is going to be a really cool, interesting read, I think. I'm excited. Okay, yeah, I'm excited about all these books. Okay, next we have Beauty, and this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast by Robin McKinley. And this says, Beauty has never liked her nickname. She is thin and awkward. It is her two sisters who are the beautiful ones. But what she lacks in appearance, she can perhaps make up for in courage. When her father comes home with a tale of an enchanted castle in the forest and the terrible promise he had to make the beast who lives there, Beauty knows she must travel to the castle, a prisoner of her own free will. Her father insists that he will not let her go, but she responds, cannot a beast be tamed? Robin McKinley's beloved telling of the classic fairy tale illuminates an unusual love story of a most unlikely couple, Beauty and the Beast. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the stack. We only have this much left. Next up, we have Mistakes That Worked, the World's Familiar Inventions and How They Came to Be by Charlotte Foltz Jones. And this is also a very thin book. I got this mostly for Marty. I thought he would find it really interesting, but I also thought I would find it pretty interesting. And this is another insanely short book. I didn't expect it to be this short. It looks like it's only 77 pages long. But this is just about things like sandwiches, potato chips, silly putty, x-rays, how they all actually started out as a mistake. Somebody was trying to do something else and that was made. And I think those are fun to read about. Next up we have The Foundling, the true story of a kidnapping, a family secret, and my search for the real me by Paul Joseph Franczak and Alex Tresnowski. This says, in 1964, a woman pretending to be a nurse kidnapped an infant boy named Paul Franczak from a Chicago hospital. 2 years later, police found a boy abandoned outside a variety store in New Jersey. The FBI tracked down Dora Franczak, the kidnapped infant's mother, and she identified the abandoned boy as her son. The family spent the next 50 years believing they were whole again, but Paul was always unsure about his true identity. In 2012, spurred by the birth of his first child, Paul took a DNA test, revealing that he was definitely not Paul Franczak. From that moment on, Paul embarked upon a tireless mission to solve two 50-year-old mysteries. What happened to the real Paul Franczak, and who in the world was he? Poignant and inspiring, The Foundling is a story about a child lost and a faith found, about the permanence of families and the bloodlines that define you, and about the emotional toll of losing your identity and rediscovering who you truly are. And I thought this sounded incredibly interesting, and I resisted looking this up, like looking up what happened with these boys. Just, I want to read this first, and then if it doesn't tell me, I'm gonna have to like Google and find out more information, because I really want to know if these were solved. Next up is Strong Female Protagonist, Book 1 by Brennan Lee McGullen and Molly Ostertag. And this is a graphic novel, mostly in black and white, but it looks like there are some pages with color. I think it's just the beginning of chapters. Strong Female Protagonist brings new questions about vigilantism, justice, and heroics to the field, standing alongside stories like Watchmen and Soon I Will Be Invincible in the canon of witty, thoughtful commentaries on superheroism that manage to be, at the same time, extremely satisfying as superhero comics. And it shows her, I guess, in her normal attire, and then maybe this is her in her superhero attire. I don't know. But I thought it'd be fun. I also got books 4 and 5 of the Wayward Children series. The first book is Every Hearted Doorway, and I've read the first 3 and I really enjoyed those. They're like, okay, so the way the first book goes is every child that's gone through some kind of magical portal or doorway or whatever to their fantastical world, or their alternate world, I should say, like Wonderland or wherever. If and when they come back to the normal world, they have a hard time adjusting, and they don't want to be back in this world. They want to be in their alternate world, and they're constantly trying to get back there, and their parents are, you know, happy to have them home but want them to adjust and be normal. And there's this school called Eleanor West School for Wayward Children, and it's a boarding school for kids who come home from portal fantasy worlds and can't adjust to their new ordinary lives. And at this school, they're supposed to be helping them adjust, but there are other things going on. And I really, really enjoy this series. And I also like that they're short books, because again, I think I read the other 3 in different readathons because they're perfect for readathons. Okay, next up we have Pushed by Corinne Jackson, and this is the second book in this A Sense Thieves novel. I recently read the first book, which is called Touched, and I really enjoyed it. Our main character, Remy O'Malley, she has this special skill, this ability, where she can heal people by touching them, though she takes on whatever injury she's healing. And then she meets Asher Blackwell, and they're drawn to each other, but he knows they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be enemies, because once the Blackwells were protectors for the healers like Remy, but the protectors discovered that if they kill a healer, they can become immortal. But then they realize that over time, they lose their sense, like their sense of smell, their sense of touch, things like that. And they can only get those back for a temporary time when they kill another healer. And Remy and Asher are just drawn to each other, and definitely causes some issues. But it was a really good first story, so I'm really looking forward to continuing it with this. And then the last book that I have here is The Silent Corner by Dean Koontz. And this says, a dazzling new series, a pure adrenaline rush, debuts with a remarkable heroine certain to become an icon of suspense. I very much need to be dead. These are the chilling words left behind by a man who had everything to live for, but took his own life. In the aftermath, his widow, Jane Hawk, does what all her grief, fear, and fury demand: find the truth no matter what. People of talent and accomplishment, people admired and happy and of sound of mind, have been committing suicide in surprising numbers. When Jane seeks to learn why, she becomes the most wanted fugitive in America. Her powerful enemies are protecting a secret so important, so terrifying, that they will exterminate anyone in their way. But all of their power and viciousness may not be enough to stop a woman as clever as they are cold-blooded, as relentless as they are ruthless, and who is driven by a righteous rage they can never comprehend, because it is born of love. And this is a signed copy, which is pretty much the only way I'm going to get any of his books signed, because he lives in California and doesn't fly anywhere. So unless I happen to go to California and can have all my Dean Koontz books along with me. They're not gonna get signed. But ooh, he has a pretty signature. All right, that's all. What I say, 59 books that I hauled in October. Ridiculous. Absolutely. I'm not looking forward to 3 years from now when I'm doing my have I read it and I get to this haul. I'm just gonna have to make sure that I make a dent in these books over the next 3 years. So have you guys read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!